Good morning. I'm Victoria Savage, Nurse Savage on your side, your wisdom guided oracle, and we're having coffee in my beautiful tree bear mug. Always reminds me of the mountains, and I was in the mountains yesterday. I went skiing with my family. Oh my gosh, it was some of the best ski conditions I've skied in a long time, and it was a lovely day, and it was all just great, which was preceded by the previous day, which started out really great and ended up incredibly tumultuous, emotional, not easy. And specifically, it was between me and someone else, but not easy in myself, with just a great deal of inner turmoil and old patterns coming up, and gracefully given the awareness, the ability, the desire to be the one that shifted the old pattern into choosing not to go there and easing all that stress. But oh my gosh, the upheaval, the adrenaline, not good adrenaline, that was going on inside me, very much not a fun afternoon after that. So how was your weekend? What was that field filled with? Great morning to you, Susan. I'm guessing you're done with the t-shirt show. Hope you had an enjoyable break from the monotony of everyday life and got out and see people, being the social creature that you are. Good morning, Christina. So what was this weekend? I'm sorry, my nose is itching a bit. Today, the reading today, focus is about shame and not enough, and how that impacts us, and really how to move beyond it, because it is such a pervasive, especially the not enough energy throughout, I know, the Western world, maybe in the feminine all over the world, as we are in many places, more so than here. The feminine has no voice. We are not enough. We're nothing. And so this is, how do we work through this? And this really is the lifetime we came through to work through a bunch of old stuff. And so choosing to take charge and move forward, good morning, Julia, is really in our best interest, because that's where we can step more often, more fully, into our power, into our divine power, in the continual overcome. So the first card, I have 3 different decks that wanted to come through this morning, is my very fun deck, the Kitchen Tarot. It's all basically the major arcana. The food scales. These are very busy cards, and you might not be able to see them, uh, all that's in them, but there's a lot. And this is about accountability and balance and justice. And the thing that got me going was an injustice to me by someone I care about. And it was so out of the blue, and just the morning, everything started to be such a lovely day. And then the very last aspect was very not lovely. And it was awful. It just was uncomfortable. It got, again, the adrenaline going. Even though I had followed the guidance, understood how I could really just end this thing by reaching out. When I went to bed, I probably slept only about 3 hours. It could have been some Thai tea in the afternoon too. Um, at any rate, hello, Danny. My nose is itching this morning. So, balance, accountability. I can't shift what the other person was feeling, what they thought, what they did, but I did stand up for myself quickly in the process, and then I let it go. That's my job. That's my accountability. And And, as this Gemini mind does, I examined it from every angle. What is my accountability here? What did I do here to make this happen? And um, even though it wasn't truly what I felt was my quote unquote fault, it would have lasted a lot longer if I had not reached out about another aspect to this same person. And just really the message was, let's just move beyond this. I tend to go inward and I stew and I hold on to it. And this time I chose and knew that if I didn't, it would be gone quickly. And indeed it was. The next card that came up, this beautiful Four of Water. And you look at them, one side of their face is very scarred, and yet they've got this beautiful smile. This is about introspection. And this is about accepting you, all warts, pimples, everything about you. And I was thinking about this morning, the different pictures I have deleted throughout my life because of how I looked and how it made me feel, the shame, the not enough. And rather than just looking at me and accepting that sometimes I behave really well, sometimes I'm really lovely, sometimes I've got it all together, and sometimes not so much, but allowing all the aspects of the me to be allowed and to be accepted. We are never going to be all perfect. We are never going to be all of one way in life. Life is about growth, and growth is about change. And so it's learning to accept the fact that even though, quote unquote, something was done to me, I was the one that could make it a thing and a bigger thing. And truly, the whole incident was one of those so ridiculous things that I remembered back to a long married couple that I knew before I was married. And they were talking about sometimes in the having of fights in a marriage, they said the worst fight we ever had was about butter. And it was like, that's what this felt about. This was a butter fight. This was not worth anyone's energy here. And so I chose to move on, let it go, reached out, and it just took care of everything between us. The desert passage. And this is certainly how it felt Saturday afternoon and evening. But I had to trust that there's a divine plan. What was that about? Honestly, I do not know yet. I may never know. That's the thing, is accepting that there is a plan and that we are working it out together, and knowing that we get to at times be the catalyst for the growth and change of others in our behavior. I can't do anyone else's behavior. I can only shift how I react to or act. And I reacted initially, which is why it was such a tumultuous. I mean, most of us would have. It was just, again, it was so ridiculous. And I was basically sitting there with my mouth open going, what just happened? I mean, I have no idea what got this started. I mean, the truth is I do have an idea of what got this started. It had zero to do with me. It had to do with the other party being in reactive mode. And I was a safe enough target that they could do that. And so, again, the next part of this message is the Two of Swords. And this is all about introspection, looking at all of this and looking at my responsibility in all of this. And even though I felt no responsibility in the initial incident, it became my responsibility as to whether or not I dug my heels in for the injustice that I felt was done and carried it on. And again, yep, it didn't feel like it was just, but it was such a silly, ridiculous thing. Like the butter fight, that I went, okay, I can be the one that can end this one, or I can be the one that carries it on for zero reason and totally ridiculousness. So it is, where am I in this? And what, I mean, in part of my nature is to go inward and clam up and pull away and lick my wounds and move more of that injury into me. But I used my tools of cutting cords and box breathing to bring that adrenaline down. And then I'm open, willing, and ready here. What is my part? What is my move here? And if you reach out to them about this, it will take care of things. There's also, in the other aspect, the other possibility, ego. I didn't deserve this, and I'll be darned if I'm going to let them do that to me. That was how I could have taken it too. But because I connected, I'm open, willing, and ready. Show me what to do here. And it was reach out and do this. And I decided, do I want to do that? It was like, do you want this to continue? I was like, no. And again, this was no big fight, no big thing that we would have to work out in the future. It was just ridiculous. And so I chose to move on. The next card that came up is the kitchen timer. And this is miracle worker. And I'm going to look up that one because this also has to do with the hanged one, the waiting time. This is 12. This is about the need to just allow. Sometimes things are going to resolve quickly, and sometimes there's a time that needs to pass. This yesterday was not one, or the Saturday was not one that needed to be nurtured and moved through my body. This was one of those. It's like, okay, I'm going to move this out, reach out, and see where it goes. Sometimes we need to set and allow time to pass. We need to sit and allow time to pass. We need to let it run its course and always check in with yourself, like in a situation like this. Is this my ego or is this a healing time? And so that's why, go inward, find out. Maybe I just need to settle and allow this to work itself out. And so, that was not that time. The next card that came up was the 7 of water. Look at the fish flowing by. And it came up in reverse. And this is about not being in the flow. Again, allowing time to pass, not being in the flow. When things get dicey, it is always the best advice to just, okay, where am I in this? And sometimes it takes more time than yesterday's little incident or Saturday's, because it's not a little incident. It is one of those, you need to get in the flow between you, your higher power, the angels, the guides, the companions, whatever George, whatever you call your higher power, God, the creator, the universe. And be willing to be given the idea for your next best step. Most of the communication is going to come in our thoughts and our mind. Trust that when you ask creator, the answer will come immediately. And most of the time we'll go, oh, I just made that up. And so it's getting in the flow, allowing the flow of the creator to come in, and then percolating through yourself what it is that comes into your mind. Okay, mine was, well, reach out about what you talked about doing together. Reach out about that now. That will stop this whole dissension that you have between you. And indeed it did. Partly is because I knew the other party, they have the ability to on you, and then they're good. And then I would stew for 3 days and then finally get over it. So I chose not to. I did verbally stand up for myself, say my piece. Then we separated for a bit, and then I reached out. It is important that we do stand up for ourselves in what we're doing. Uh-huh. The next card that came up was the Six of Swords. And I have to read this too because I am not real familiar. I love this. Oh, it's not that one. It's this one. The Six of Swords. Our respite. The Six of Swords, our dove with the olive branch. We are leaving stress and discomfort behind and sailing calmly into a much needed serene stillness. That was the choice I made to reach out. But I went in first with, what is my part in this? How can I move forward? The truth is the upheaval and the tumultuousness wasn't at all worth what this whole thing was about. Ego did happen between us, and I chose to allow mine to go because, again, we could have been at war between us for quite a long time over something totally stupid, or I could just let go of the ego, reach out, and let them know in the reach out that I was done with the dissension because I knew they would be. So this is about that, just going with the flow, allowing the flow to come, giving time to pass, and stepping into the part that's going to bring us the greatest ease. That is our job. And again, the readings of the last few weeks have often been about you do you. You can't do the other person, but you can do you. And I had to do me. I had to be the adult, um, and and choose to let it go. Because even though the ego would have said, I totally didn't deserve that. That wasn't my thing. It was their thing. I'm just, bleh. We could still be at odds. I could still be in turmoil, had a really crappy night's sleep last night, or I could let it go, enjoy the time I had with them instead, and move on. And the last card that came up, begin now. Now is the first step. If you're in a relationship that is having issues between you, and it's one you value, and it's one, you're not going to walk away from. Sometimes walking away is the thing we need to do for our highest and best health. If it's not, it's I'm open, I'm willing, I'm ready. What's my part here? What is my part in this? And be willing to just see the ego, whatever your ego in your mind looks like. Sometimes it's just the word ego. Just take it and gently place it aside. What is my part here? How do I get to move on in the highest and best for me and for this relationship? What can I do? And it can make life so much easier. It can make relationships so much easier. There are times, though, when people are going to lash out at you that you have to decide, is this a whipping boy situation? Am I once again the one for their anger? And is this relationship worth it? Many times throughout our lives, it will be not just no, but hell no. I am done with it. I gain far less from being in this relationship. I only gain accusations. I only gain an increasing of negative energies that trigger me over and over. You don't have to stay in any of them. There is not one law that says you have to stay in a relationship that does not serve your highest and best anymore. And for some people, that's very cyclical and they jump from relationship to relationship. That's a whole other story. This is about you in your lifetime relationships, how you've traveled, how you've been, who you've been, and what are they producing for you. We don't have to stay in relationships where people demean us, degrade us, gaslight us, and make us feel less than enough. Now, again, the make us feel, let's rephrase that. We don't have to stay in relationships that trigger continuously old energies that we've worked to release. We have, most of us have 2 or 3 really big triggers that things keep triggering for our understanding that it still travels within us, or for our understanding that it travels too largely within us. It is time to release that energy and then release those people that would seek to keep triggering them within us. I believe we are complete for today. My wish for you is that you can move on in grace, in comfort, and ease, increasing your love of self, because that is then what we can give to others. Until we truly can learn to love and accept ourselves, we really cannot completely offer that to anyone else. I think we are complete. Have a wonderful day. My name is Victoria Savage, Nurse Savage on your side, your wisdom guided oracle. Until we meet again.